I remember my early childhood as being pretty happy and carefree. I lived in the country with my parents and my three brothers on a flower farm, and we spent a lot of time outside together playing and working. And we went to church twice every Sunday, went to Sunday school and vacation Bible school. Our family spent a lot of time talking about God and learning about the Bible. So when I was 6 years old, it seemed pretty natural to say the sinner's prayer, and I did that and made up my mind I was going to be the best Christian that I could be. Then when I was in the fourth grade, my secure little world started to fall apart. My parents lost their greenhouse business, and my dad started slipping into a depression. He quit going to church and eventually gave up on his faith in God. And he changed completely how he treated us. I basically was scared of him. He didn't spend a lot of time at home, but when he was home, he would sit and just stare for hours in the darkness. And when he interacted with us, he quite often lost his temper, and he had a very violent temper. A lot of times that led to physical and verbal abuse. So I spent less and less time at home and started hanging out with people I probably shouldn't have been associating with. I had made some friends that didn't live in the best circumstances. A lot of their parents allowed smoking and drinking in their home, and there was drugs readily available. And it wasn't long before I started trying those things out. I knew they were wrong, and once I started doing it, I just felt like there was no turning back. I had blown it as a Christian, and so I just kept digging deeper and deeper into it. At first, my parents didn't know what was going on, but eventually they started to see the signs. About the time I was 16, my mom and dad got divorced, and at the same time we lost our home and had to move into the city. And that just made things worse. I was angry about moving to the city. I started hanging out with people in town and doing more and more drugs and drinking more alcohol. I was just trying to numb my guilt and shame. Then when I was 17, one day my dad was driving down the road, and out of the blue he just dropped dead. And this whole thing just really shook me up. I took a look at how he was living his life, and I thought, I don't even know where he went, if he was in heaven or not. He had been a Christian, but he wasn't living like one now. And I took a look at my life and realized I was headed in the same direction, and it was time for me to make some changes. So I tried my best to dig my way out of the mess I was in and started attending church regularly and getting into the Bible more. And I struggled with this through high school and into college. And then towards the end of college, I went on a summer mission trip that completely changed my life. When I came back from the mission trip, I gave up all my old friends and my old habits and really started trying to live my life for the Lord. At that time, I met my first husband, who was going through some of the same struggles. And we got married and had 3 kids and decided we were going to raise them as Christians. We took him to church and sent him to the Christian school. But our relationship was not founded in Christ the way that it should be, and things just weren't working out. They just kept getting worse and worse. And after 12 years of marriage, it ended in divorce. I just thought I was the biggest failure on earth as a mother, as a wife, as a Christian. And I just looked at these 3 great kids I had and thought, what am I going to do to change things for them? I just made up my mind I was going to try to make things right myself. I looked at these 3 great kids and said, I've got to give them a good life. So I worked as much as I possibly could. And a lot of times I worked at night when they were sleeping so I could spend time with them too. And I was just basically burning the candle at both ends. And at that time, I started attending Grace Church so they could go to youth group. And I realized I was in a good place, but I was so ashamed of the life that I had led. I was sure that if everybody found out what I was really like, they wouldn't accept me. So I didn't really build any solid relationships in the church. At that time, I started dating Dave, who I am now married to. And after we'd been dating for a couple months, one day he was at my house, and all of a sudden I just had this searing pain go through my chest. And my family called 911, and I went rushing to the hospital. And while I was in the ambulance and at the hospital, I still was trying to control everything, giving orders to everybody and talking about how I was going to get to work and how I was going to pay the bills. And a nurse that was there realized I did not understand the gravity of the situation. She got right in my face and said, "You are getting ready to go through a very serious operation. You're lucky you even made it here alive. You might not make it out, so you need to call your family and say your goodbyes." So I did. I called my kids and my mom and told everyone it might be the last time I'd be talking to them, and said a quick prayer to God to take care of my family and went in for surgery. A couple days later, I came out of this fog and I woke up and realized, holy cow, I'm alive. I couldn't believe I was alive, and I thought, why did God save me? And I thanked the surgeon for saving my life, and he said, I didn't do that. God did, for whatever reason. So I really started thinking about what purpose I had and what I needed to do to find out where God was leading me. So I spent time trying to build a relationship with Christ, not just be a good Christian, but build a relationship. I gave control of my life to Christ and quit trying to do everything myself. And since that time, Dave and I got married, and we were both baptized. I was blessed to see all 3 of my children come to Christ and be baptized as well. So now I'm just thankful that God has given me more time, and I spend my time trying to find my purpose and tell as many people as I can about my story and the importance of having a relationship with Christ. My name is Carol Morgan, and I am Grace.